Welcome to Lynn's Warriors, where we fight every day to protect children, defend vulnerable, and expose the uncomfortable truths most are too afraid to touch or even talk about. So today we're honored to welcome a true warrior in her own right, Kim Ciccone. And I met Kim. I want to give the story, Kim, of how we met. We met at the
Yeah.
Black Poster Project back in, I'm not sure when it was, March or April, over in Astoria, Queens. And I was so overcome with that was my first time actually witnessing in person those black posters and talking to family members and meeting you. It was so powerful. I said to myself, I have to work harder, to work in this arena, to interview people, to educate the public, and have everybody get on board because and I know we all know somebody affected by addiction. We have so many families where the kids are buying drugs on Snap, and having them delivered to their front or back door and all kinds of problems with that. So it was such an overwhelming and powerful experience for us. And I just want to say the Black Poster Project is, so everybody knows, it's hundreds of posters, maybe could be thousands, but it's probably thousands by
Yeah.
now. Yeah, each featuring a photo, a name, lifespan, a short personal note. Yeah, from across the U.S. Families,
Mhm.
organized by families of loved ones who've died from addiction, and it's called Silent Memorials and set up in public spaces. And the next one is August 21st here in New York City. It's at St. Patrick's Cathedral. I'm going to be urging everybody to attend this because I guarantee you will say nothing. You will just go into the church, stare, because that's what I did. So I know you will do it. It's the most powerful uh, visual, and people are visual. So we're urging everybody to see it, and it's free. And the posters are created free for families. But I'll put more of that in the body of the video. Let's get to Kim. Um,
Yeah.
Kim, it's your story to tell. So I want to say to you, let's just start talking about you. Should we start there? Because I could
Yeah.
rattle off a bunch of
If
questions you could answer, but I'd rather, I mean,
if I could take
you're a survivor. Do you call yourself a
yeah.
survivor?
It's funny because sometimes the words are always hard for me to like identify myself as any. I know when I look at the experience I had, that there was a couple times that I definitely was on the brink of being on Earth and not. So obviously I did survive that, and so I definitely am. I don't know what the heck I call myself in regards to it though. It's always changing on the day. Um, but I did want to circle back really quick. Black Poster Project, it's officially over 876 posters now, and they're directly always submitted by mothers and fathers. We make sure, D Galen, to get all the proper consents and channels because you have to imagine too, when you're walking into this room, it's so overwhelming and it may not be your direct child, but imagine if you were the mother or father of that child and you walk into a memorial submitted by friends and they didn't know they're going to see their son. It could be like heartbreaking and
Wow.
honestly maybe traumatic. So she's so careful and cautious, but
Wow.
with these submissions, and then those are usually direct words from family, so mothers, fathers, sisters, brothers, on those posters. But it's really breathtaking, the whole project.
I like that D.
Uh,
I didn't think about that, Kim. Getting consent.
yeah,
Yes, getting
I
consent.
That's why I
It,
bring it up sometimes because nobody think like you don't think of that. 'Cause some people are like, "Can I put my friend in?" And I'm like, "No, I'm sorry." Like their mom has to do it. Like,
no, it should be consent. That's the way it should be. I can't imagine walking in a room or hearing about it. Like, your
yeah,
child is there or just being faced with it. I've kept my tissues. That is
yeah,
something when I walked into the hall that night and they gave me little packs of tissues.
yeah,
That's where it started to hit me like, okay, okay, okay.
yeah,
And that is blackposterproject.com. I don't
yep.
know. I don't, you know what I'm going to call you? I'm just going to call you a warrior because I don't even
Yeah,
like
I
the
like
word,
warrior.
I don't like the word survivor. I don't
Yeah,
even like for a lot of the work I do, I don't even like trafficking. I don't like that word either. Like I don't like a lot of the words that are just used constantly. So I just say
yeah.
we're warriors, I
I'm down
guess.
for warrior. I love
Okay,
a
good.
warrior. Yeah.
Perfect. Perfect. Now, where do you want to start? Because again,
Um,
like I said, this is your story. So I want you to tell whatever you want to tell about where you started, Whatever. We can start there.
So I think for me, something that is really just like the main touch point in my journey is one, I was actually adopted from before I was even born. My biological mother was married, not married, I'm sorry. She was with a man for years and he was extremely abusive. This was back in 1990 when women, a lot of times, if they were pregnant and they didn't want people to know they were pregnant, they would go to these maternity homes. So I was one of the babies that was born in one of these maternity homes, which she had pre-given me up for adoption. I did reconnect with my biological mom about 7 years ago, and I'm just so grateful for my life, obviously. Um, but yeah, so I was technically the birth of domestic violence. And then I was also born with a facial disorder, so I had cleft lip and palate. I spent a lot of my childhood in and out of NYU Medical Center. They have a facial reconstructive unit that was one of the best in the nation. I'm sure it still is. When I was younger. So I endured a lot of physical pain. Obviously, with that, I've used substances within surgery, like within parameters for I'm in physical pain. I need to take this substance to feel a little bit better and get through, but never abused anything. Behaviorally, I was like an ADHD kid, but there was like nothing really out of the ordinary. So, context wise, a lot of times when I tell people my story, they're very confused by it because most of the time people think, oh, an addict, they touch a drug first time, they're hooked, they're done, they're sunk and in. And that really wasn't my reality. I was pretty rational. Obviously, I had trauma from 16 weeks all the way till 18 years from my surgeries, and just like naturally coming with that would bring your separation anxiety or abandonment.
Yeah.
Bodily autonomy was something I just realized I had last year because of all the surgical trauma. I was so used to having to just trust people that they just had my best intentions and that I was going to go in surgery and I might wake up in more pain, but they brought me to health. So when I later in life, I'm 34 now, but I met my ex-boyfriend at 27 years old. And when I first met him, I actually wasn't initially like super drawn to him, but he kept trying to converse with me. He loved my art. He wanted me to draw a tattoo for him. So originally, he was almost like commissioning me to draw him a piece. And then as I would hang out with him, I was like, oh my gosh, he's so much like me. There's just so much in common. And he wound up getting me pregnant on purpose. And the only reason why I could say on purpose is because the exact quote before he had said, like, I wonder what our kids would look like. And that was the only time I had put myself in a position to potentially get pregnant. So I did get pregnant and I didn't know right away. Um, and it was around my birthday when I found out. And we were dating at this point for about 3 months. So it's pretty new in, but he was like perfect, like everything I could have dreamed of. And then the second that I found out I was pregnant, and I told him that next morning was the first time I caught him cheating on me, like another woman picking up the phone. Um, and then that following weekend, after like I kind of, I guess, unmasked him, that was like when everything was like over for me, in that regard of it being like a fantasy world, that it was like a fairy tale. Because I remember for my birthday weekend, we went out. We went to the place Barcode in Elizabeth, New Jersey, and they have outside, like inside that bar, they sell roses and bears and things like that. So when we first got to Barcode, it was myself, him, and his best friend. And I had taken a selfie with the three of them, and I happened to just be standing in the middle by the way we were standing. And I didn't think about this. Obviously, this has to do with what happened later. But so that we take this selfie, the night's going on, and I could see him slowly, like, kind of pulling into himself in the corner, uncomfortable. And I'm just very like aware and caring about, everyone's feelings all the time. So I had what did I say to him? Sorry. I said to him, "Do you wanna go? Are you, uncomfortable? If you wanna leave, we can leave." So then from there, he had told me, like, "Yeah, I wanna go." He buys me flowers from one of those carts with, like, the bear attached. I'm driving. So we get in the car and I'm heading out, and we're on the Garden State Parkway at this point. He was super quiet. So at one point I turn to him and I look at him and I'm like, "Hey, like, what's wrong?" And then he, like, doesn't say anything. So I remember giving him a slight attitude, like, "Okay, like, if you're not gonna, like, respond." And before I could even think, his hand's on the back of my head here, and my face hits the steering wheel while I'm going about, like, 65 miles per
Oh
hour
my God.
on the Garden State Parkway. So, obviously, that was super shocking. Um, and I think that can you hear me?
Yes. Can you hear me?
Okay, sorry, I thought it
Yeah.
went like, I couldn't hear for a
No,
sec.
I can hear you perfectly, but now no, I can hear you fine. I'm so upset by this because
Yeah.
smashing your head into the steering wheel while you're driving on the parkway. Did you
Yeah.
crash or you kept going? Like what happened?
No. So that's the thing, like, immediately, like, in my head, the first thought was, like, "This man doesn't care about my life," like, but nothing happened, like, no crash or anything, it just, like, obviously, like, jerked or whatever for that quick second.
Shocking though while you're driving. It's like,
Yeah, and my first reaction was anger, when he did that, so I did like, my first response to any of his abuse was, like, kind of reactive abuse, as they say, like, I kinda didn't necessarily, like, go off the road. No one was on the road at the time, thank God. But
yeah.
I just kind of showed him like, "Oh, you don't care? Like, I'll show you I could drive crazy too, you know?" And then I stopped, because he was like, "Please stop." I was like, "Okay, I'll stop. Like, don't ever do that to me again." We get back to the house. At this point, I'm thinking it's over, and he wound up dragging me. From the second we walked in the apartment, for about like 45 minutes. It just so happened that his front door was broken and his friends broke in to like come hang out. So they were able to break up this fight and I was able to run into the bathroom. But he literally dragged me across this like the floor. And prior to that, I've gotten a few altercations with women, but always broken up by like a security guard or like it was never and I never physically assaulted anyone first. I always was like in defense of myself. But
Yeah.
this was different. This was like um he just, like, wanted to rip my skin off, like, is, like, the best way I could describe it, and, I don't know to this day like, he told me it was because I took the picture with him and his friend, but to this day, I really never understood any of the reasons why he got physical, because there was even, like, a
Yeah.
time where well, let me get into that. So he had, that was the first time he hit me. The next morning, I left, later that night I left, or I left like early in the morning. Um, I get a text from him, like he doesn't mention anything about this physical altercation. He's just like, "Hey, how are you? Good morning, gorgeous," like something like that. And
Right.
I'm like,
Yeah.
"What the, like what?" And, I'm like,
Mm.
good morning. Like, do you remember what just happened?" And he's just like, "Oh, I don't know what happened. Like, I
Was he
mixed
drinking that
Xan."
night? Was he drinking?
Yeah. Yeah, and he said that because he would mix Xanax and alcohol, which I know can make you black out.
Mhm.
But now knowing him after just that day, that wasn't the only time he put his hands on me. He, like, struggled to not put his like, it was just anything would set him off. Like, if he dropped his vape, like, in the car between the 2 seats, like, I would get a whack to my face because he couldn't find it. Like, it's just an angry person. And
No,
that's the
that's
thing.
a a person full of
Yeah,
rage. That's what that is. Not just angry, they're
yeah,
full of rage.
yeah. And he, like, just had such, like, a deep-rooted hatred for a lot of things. Like, it wasn't even just me. It would be like, I'd watch him, sometimes I'd be sleeping, and I'd wake up in the middle of the night, and he'd be, like, up, like, on his phone, like, close to his face, and I'm like, "What are you watching?" And, like, that would make him mad that I asked, but I would realize there are, like, videos of monkeys being tortured. Like, I don't know what his thing is with that. Like, he had a lot of, like, sociopathic,
I was gonna say a sociopath or
yeah, some type of serious childhood wound that, like, just, carried out. And
well, how long did this go on? Because this is so horrifying and
yeah.
upsetting, this whole story.
So it started in October. We started dating where it was pretty healthy from October to January, and then we dated from January, like where the abuse was, January straight through to December of that following year. So it was almost a year.
And
And
he
I
was
was still
and
with
he was
him.
abusive, like off and on through that whole period.
So for the first let's say up until September, maybe a little before, it was violence, like almost all the time. Then when he had gotten me, oh, I lost track. When he had gotten me pregnant, they had so I found out he was cheating. He hits me again that weekend after like he found out I was pregnant, and I had actually went into his apartment because I left like a bunch of valuable things like in his apartment. And I was like, he's cheating on me, he's hitting me, I'm gonna leave him. So I like broke into his apartment to get my stuff. I was with one of my friends and she leaves us alone for a second. He's in his room and he starts crying. So I think it's like an apology coming. And I like lean in to like hold his arms and be like, why are you doing this to me? And he actually grabs my arms and kicks me in the stomach instead. And obviously, like, I'm
Wow.
pregnant, so he was trying to kill the baby. Um, so from there, I was like, I need to go through with an abortion, which was something I was so against being adopted. I just like never thought I would be in the position to have to make that decision. And that was like a big part of like why I later went the direction I went. Um, so when I had went through with the abortion, they had prescribed me Percocets, and at this point, I would, like, get away from him, and I would try to, like, keep like, I would tell on myself, like, I wound up telling my parents, like, I got an abortion because he kicked me in the stomach, like and they didn't want me anywhere near him, like, my dad even threatened him at this point, but then I just convinced myself, like, I had to win something. I don't know if I was, like, trying to, like, win him over the women he was cheating on me with or win that I wasn't worth nothing, like, the way he made me feel, like, there was
Yeah.
something I, like, was trying to figure out, so I had went back to him as friends for a bit, and, like, obviously, at that point, he's not hitting me because 'cause I'm not dating him, like, we were just, friends, and he was trying to,
Wow.
like, smooth me back, but then when we got back together, um a month into the abortion, my period comes back and the pain was so insane, like the cramps, and I always had bad cramps. So I like knew that he was already messing around with drugs. And also it's important to mention both his parents were doctors. So he had a lot of access to things that like I would not have
What?
access to.
Let,
So
let me go back a minute. So during this whole period, did you ever
yeah,
see him take drugs or you knew he was doing drugs and
he was prescribed a medication from his mom, like, he was on 30 milligram Adderall, and
mm,
then I know that he had also other scripts of Adderall that he would pick up under other people's names, like but they were like, it would be, like, family members or an ex-girlfriend, like, it was someone
wow.
that but all for
Right.
him, which what doctor and why would you need different scripts under different names
No.
if you're a good doctor? So that, and then I knew he was taking Xanax, which I know she did not prescribe him Xanax because she was against Xanax, but she gave him lorazepam. So
Oh, another one that's,
or like
and
Klonopin. It was like one of the other, but I was like, it's the same
one
thing.
of
Like,
those but you know
yeah,
what? And I'm no doctor, Kim, but just doing all the work we do with children and families and things like that, every individual is different. I'm sure you
yeah,
know this already. Who knows how drugs interact on one individual? It may be okay for one person, not okay for the next person. Like that's
mm,
in America, we don't talk that much about. It's like a one size fits all. So who knows? He's taking prescribed, not prescribed, mixing it all
yeah.
together. But was he older than you or around the same age?
No, same, probably like a little less than a year older than me. Like,
Okay, so
but same age pretty much. And that's the thing. Like, I think that honestly, like, I think his parents knew psychologically something was off. They probably were trying to medicate him to, like, regulate whatever that
yeah,
was in the best way. Like, I'm not even trying to judge. I mean, a little bit I do, but, um, he was messing with, like, plenty of things, and a lot of them he had admitted to me he would have never touched if, like, when he was
yeah,
18, his dad hadn't sent him. like 3,000 stockpile bottle of them, you know? So like, I think
Did he
some
work? Did
people
he have a
create,
job? How did he make money? Did he have a job?
he did like an off contracting, like, you know, like how some big brands, they have like salespeople that sell for like a second vendor company for, that's like
Mhm.
kind of what he did. So he was under an alias. Like, I don't even think he used his real name for any of those like work transactions. And he just
Mm.
had a lot. He had a huge dicey background, but initially he sounded very put together because his parents are doctors, and that's like kind of what he sells himself on. Like, I'm the top
Yeah.
salesperson. My parents are doctors. Look at my car. Look at my nice apartment. Um, and he was really good at mirroring everything that I am. Like, it just like he pretty much copied. Which later he told me that he does that, which is crazy. He said he does that when he sells things to people. Like, for instance, if you're very calm, he'll like calm down with you. But if you're excited and you have a higher raised tone, he'll raise his voice to match yours, because then you'll think, oh my gosh, we have so much in common.
Yeah.
So he kind of told me
Wow.
like his psychological like hacks, and it was crazy listening to him tell me, because I'm like, you did that to me. But I also couldn't like fully grasp that concept until I like,
Yeah.
honestly, years after I left. Like, even when I left him, I still couldn't fully like grasp what happened there. Um, but yeah, he did stop the physical violence briefly when I was under the influence, but also a lot of my memory in that time, like, it feels very trippy. Like, I don't remember what's real and what's fake in certain
Yeah.
instances, because there was just so much like nutrition mixed with substance use.
How
Um,
how did you finally like make the break to
um, so the company that I now work for, this is just like one of those God things. So I had went to my dad's birthday dinner. It was on December 11th of 2019. And when I got there, my mom immediately knew something was
yeah.
severely wrong. And she's like, you have to get help. I was living on my own, so it's not like they could use that. You're going to move out or you're going to be homeless. Like, I kind of had it figured out in my addiction, even though I did not at all. Um, so what they did was, my mom only had one friend that she knew that had a child that struggled with addiction, and it was actually somebody whose son passed away. It was like my kindergarten boyfriend, which is just like really crazy. And his best friend that he used to run with is the owner of my company. So an intervention was planned for me. They had come to me and my ex's apartment at the time. They offered us both support separately. They were going to separate us, but I was offered support directly through them, which is CFC Loud and Clear, and then Healing Us Centers. CFC Loud and Clear has a new name now, Healing Us Communities, but it's a nonprofit community. It's multiple pathways, so smart recovery, refuge recovery, so you kind of get like that Buddhist and whatever. Um, but they do a lot of not clinical. They do a lot of outreach. So they set up this intervention. They offered
Yeah.
me support. My ex did not take it. I did. So I went through relevance behavioral health in Freehold. And I actually went up AMAing before I was completely finished here. But I returned back to Healing Us Communities after my relapse.
Yeah.
It was a short relapse when I went back to him, but I returned back to Healing Us Communities, utilized the sober living, all women living in the house,
Mhm.
just listened to everybody. And I just said, like, I need to be so careful with men for the rest of my life. Like that was pretty much my main thing to get out of there. But I did have unfortunately, with every domestic violence situation, when you want to leave, it's always dramatic. So I had to pack my bags for about a week, hiding them. Um, I contacted a few people that I was planning on leaving, and it just so happened the day that I was going to leave, and I had like my ride plans. My friend was going to come pick me up, like the whole thing. Um, my ex had his two friends over, and one of them, I go down to the car. When I came back up, he was overdosed. He survived, but he was overdosed when I came up, and so I'm screaming, I'm freaking out. I'm like, why do they not care? Or that there's someone like literally like dead right here. So I'm screaming, I'm freaking out. I finally get them because they're a lot bigger than me to carry him down 3 flights of stairs and to the hospital because we're in Perth Amboy. So the hospital's right there. They just had to drive around the corner to get him there. It was the middle of COVID. I had no idea COVID was happening because I was so like delusional. Um, and I'm thinking I have the window perfect time down because he's at the hospital now. I'll be able to call and get
Mhm.
my ride, but he couldn't get there in time. So my ex comes back. He sees all my bags. He obviously like throws my phone so I can't get to my phone, and he's just cornering me. It wasn't even like he got violent. Like he did like I think push me a couple times, but it wasn't what I'm used to for his violence. He was kind of just like freaking out, like, don't leave. And then the cops showed up. There was about seven
Yeah.
cops. And I only got to leave with one bag. Um, and everything else stayed behind with him.
You know what it sounds like, Kim? It almost sounds like, there is an intersection between domestic violence and trafficking. They
My
most
mom
they
swears that was his goal. My mom
and
swears this.
so I was just going to ask you, you don't have to ever answer any question I ask you. It was almost, I'm hearing from you, a little bit like the grooming process, wearing you down, getting you addicted, getting you under this control. And then the next thing is the trafficking. This is the
So
story I hear on a daily basis.
what's I've never shared from like this angle of it much because I feel like wrong to speak on it because I didn't have that full experience, like, to say I'm a victim of anything in that regard. But I will say there were multiple conversations that haunt me till today that he had said things along the lines of like wanting me to be with other men, and I'd be like, what the, because he's abusive. So I'm like, no, you don't. Like, why would you say that? Type of thing. And then it was really, I think he was trying to set me up to have that scenario. But also he had posted, I thought, never me, I've never seen anything like this in me, but two of his exes and then maybe one current on back page websites like that are listed by,
Trafficking.
yeah, he was posting their like videos and pictures.
What was he
So
doing as revenge, or was he doing it as business? Do we
I had
know?
money. He made money off of the transactions. It was like one of those, I don't know what the page is called. It was like back page or I don't know what the
Well, there
heck it
used to
was
be
called.
something called Backpage, which we put out of business. It was a long fight right before COVID. We got that shut down, and it looked like
Mhm.
classified ads, but it was
Yeah.
basically like the back of the Village Voice, the back of the newspaper, when people had newspapers. Um, and they were ads with kind of code words. It wasn't overtly like, here I am for sex, but would have like different code words. Everybody knew what it
Yeah.
was, but we got that shut down. The Department of Justice and all that as
Is
a
it
trafficking.
100% shut down? Because recently someone might have pulled that back up.
I can check, but the back
Yeah.
page, that was the back
The
page.
original. Yeah.
But with everything going on these days with the internet and now artificial intelligence,
I know.
we have
Yeah.
so much happening. Like I we can't keep up with it. And believe you me, we're trying. But a lot of this. So I'm glad you got away.
Yeah.
That's number one.
Yeah.
And
Me too.
is he really gone out of your life? Like gone?
Yeah. So it's been,
Because
I
they
heard
keep
this.
coming back a lot. That's why I'm asking it.
I think he is so angry. Like, so he's like to me a true narcissist, like textbook. No, like you look it up, he's textbook. I think that I did that thing to narcissists, like where you burn them hard enough where they're like they pretend you don't exist anymore, and that's like where he's at. The most I've heard of it from him was once recently he had actually tried to call my job to say that I was slandering his name, but I never said his name in not one pot. It's not slander. So he kind of identified himself on that call, but nothing outside of that. He was like demanding that I get like fired, basically.
Nice.
Which like you can't. Like I didn't do anything, but yeah.
Okay, well, we'll skip over him. Now tell us about the job. So now you're working, right?
Yeah.
With Healing Us. Tell
Yeah.
us all about that experience. What
Um
exactly is your job? Do you like your job? What kind of question is that? But I always ask it, like
yeah.
is it just tell us about this experience now? Because I'll tell you why I'm asking this, because a lot of people I know, um, it's hard for them to help themselves, but they're really
Yeah.
good at helping others, or they can help others because that is a sense of healing for them. as
Yeah.
well. So I'm curious, like, what your experience is.
So I think that there's always a really fine line between it helping and then like sometimes being like what do they call that? Like double process trauma a little bit when you are involved. But I work for Healing Us Centers. I originally started on the nonprofit side where for me that was like the most of my healing was that long term. I needed time like away from like my environment. So the sober living was so impactful and the multiple pathway meetings. I worked with them for 3.5 years on the nonprofit side. Um, and that was just working with people that were in sober living. They're doing peer-led community supports. I actually ran a women's empowerment group, which was the first one we like kind of started.
I love that.
For
I love that.
yeah,
I read about that. I love that.
yeah, over 3.5 years. I just stopped running it about a month ago because I just was tired and I'll still attend it, but I'm just like, I need a break from running. And the
Okay.
lady that runs it's a goddess and she's been coming since the beginning anyways. So it's like just as good. And yeah, so I worked on that side. We run a few retreats from like ski trips to camping. When we do like the camping, we did a women's retreat in Vermont as well, which I kind of got to facilitate a lot of the agenda on that retreat outside of the grief. My old boss, Alyssa Regan, she would run like the grief portion of it, which a lot of women had serious grief to share, whether it was child loss
Mhm.
or, like me, similar stories like that. So we kind of did like a purge grief thing. And yeah, the program itself, I stayed with them for 3.5 years. And then I got offered the opportunity to switch into business development more for relevance behavioral health. So that's our Freehold site, but I also work with our other sites too. We have 3 locations. So Freehold, Toms River, both New Jersey, and then one in Fort Myers, Florida. And they focus on mental health primary or substance use primary. And I do love my job because my own personal journey was so enrooted in
Yeah.
this process here. And I know that, like, for me, this was the only place I could have healed with my specific situation. Because a lot of times when I would go into certain meeting rooms and I try to share about my domestic violence, they're like, hey, do us a favor, get with somebody after the meeting and talk about this. And I'm like, but
See,
this is my problem. Like, this is what I need to share. Like, so that kind of always made me feel like I was traumatizing people with my trauma was worse, and I'm like, but it's not like I feel like I've heard people with crazy trauma in here. Like, why is this so uncomfortable to people?
because
Um,
domestic violence, sex trafficking, people don't want to hear it. That is the brutal, raw
yeah,
truth of unless, as we said earlier, it's happening to them, then they might want
yeah,
to hear about it. Um,
yeah,
but see, look, I'm not a doctor. I'm just a warrior, but we work with a lot of survivors, right?
hmm,
Sex trafficking, prostitutes, and all that. The trauma is there for the rest of one's life. It takes on different forms. We have to talk about trauma.
mm,
We have to discuss what exactly trauma is, and trauma is different for everybody, has a different story. What
yeah,
this trauma is, and the public has to understand about this instead of shushing everybody, like telling you, okay,
yeah,
talk about it, don't, because I've had people that have me come in and give speeches, okay, and I'm very appropriate, whatever the group is, I'll adapt,
yeah. You try to
right?
match,
Right.
yeah,
Of course, I don't go in and talk about organ harvesting, to fourth grade class kind of thing. I'm talking about, digital safety, what apps and gaming
hmm,
do, but I've had a lot of people, Kim, like whisper to me when I get there, don't scare anybody. But you know what? Don't scare anybody. And I usually always provide notes before a speech, bullet points and stuff. The point is we're
yeah,
not trying to scare anybody. We're trying to bring the reality. We're trying
yeah,
to make an impact on their lives. We're trying to, you're so bravely sharing your story because I would imagine you don't want this to happen to anybody else, or you want them to know
yeah,
indicators, or there is
yeah.
help out there too, right?
I
Because
I think
yeah,
yeah, yeah, I think for me, honestly, originally getting out, I never thought of sharing a thing about this, like thinking about posting even like a subliminal TikTok that could allude to him would have never even crossed my mind. Um, but as I entered into my recovery and I meet all these mental health professionals and they're explaining like how the brain works and how when you experience any abuse, whether it's like, physical,
yeah,
verbal, It could be anything financial. Your brain physically changes, and then they were explaining the changes and the symptoms that come with those changes, and then it kind of like takes, not necessarily like, I always feel like I have to be accountable to myself and where I could have done better by me, because I never want to repeat those things again. But there are moments where you literally do not know what is going on or why you're staying. It's like a psychosis when you're in
Yeah.
it and you're like, I know this is wrong. I'm aware that like there was a
Yeah.
normal life before this, but I'm also like, I felt so just, I couldn't even pin it. So I think for me, like educating people on when you're going through it, you're not crazy. Like you're not crazy. Like there's literally things that are physically happening inside you that you have
Yeah.
absolutely no control of, and the only control you have really is leaving. So if you leave, you could get away from all those symptoms quicker. But like, those really, they get to you. Like when you're in it, you start to self blame. And then even when I think about the stories back, I'm like, I could have did this, or
That's the
if
worst
I
thing, even
would
though it's
have,
you, that's
yeah,
human nature, Kim, but that's the worst thing. Like we have to stay in the now and go
yeah,
forward. Easy for me to say, but because I think with the work we do with the warriors, I think, well, a couple of things. I think women, people may fight me on this. I don't care though. Um, I think as women, we try to always like make it work with a man, no matter what goes on. We try
mhm,
to be that fixer, make it work. What's wrong with me? Like, that it doesn't work.
yeah,
I just think that's the way it is because I
yeah.
see this in my older age now. I am smarter. Okay. And I talk to so many girls and people in their 20s and people in their 80s, like all different ages, so I get
Yeah,
information and stuff. I think it's that. And it's also, you know, as horrible as it sounds, and I'll put a warning on the top of this video before so people will know. They may get upset talking about domestic violence, trigger,
yeah.
another word I don't like, trigger, but we have to use it. That's the word
I
used.
know.
I don't
It's
like
just a
that word either. I don't like any of these
yeah.
words, but it's like um I've been calling trafficking lately exploitation because there's all kinds of
Yeah.
and the public, I'll tell you why I do that, Kim. The public, it's more digestible for them when I say exploitation. When I say trafficking, they automatically get like kind of freaked out. Like they can't, and I don't want anybody to just shut down. I
Yeah.
want to try to grab them in, especially if I start like a speech or something. The first minute is when you capture them, kind of, because I can look at an audience and see. But I also think, and this is true, there are lots of studies on this. It's more comfortable to stay in a situation, even though that sounds horrible. And a lot of women, and there are some men out there as well, or teens or whatever, they have no place to go to.
Right.
Like they're dependent on whether it's financial or if they're, on drugs or trafficked, that's their next meal, that's the roof over their head kind of thing. So that's what I want everybody. That's why I want to talk to you today and talk to you. I hope
Yeah.
we get to talk more about, because this is
Yeah.
not just, you do it once. It's like I want the public to understand, and I want
Yeah.
them to really be able to help, um, whether it's with themselves, within their own family, or in their community. Okay, because
Mhm.
this is an American crisis. What's going on between the addiction,
Well,
the mental
the
health, right?
violence, yeah, everything. In every regard, there's so much hate being like embedded into every conversation. Um,
Why are people so hateful, Kim? I don't know what's going on the last.
I think it's just it's a spirituality thing. I don't even want to say it's a God. I have friends that are Muslim that are have no hate in their heart. I have friends that are Christian that have no hate in their heart. I have friends, every which way. But I think it's a spirituality thing. I think that we're kind of living in a material world right now. And it's really just like greed and ego running a lot of the show right now.
Yeah, it's like a look at me, right? Because look at the internet. There are, obviously we use it. It's connecting us now, right? It's wonderful. We can leverage it for good, right? There's a lot of good. It's not going away. We live in a digital world. But I also think the internet has really fueled, because people can hide behind that
Well,
and
yeah.
post these comments and, tell me
The
how ugly
hate
my
for
hair, tell
women
me how
on
ugly my
TikTok.
hair is or something, like for no reason.
Yeah.
I'm trying to educate everybody, or give free resources out or something. Like there's no reason point to do that kind of thing.
Well, I will say something I see because I watch sometimes, like, I used to love reality TV. Now on TikTok, I'm basically on that version of TikTok sometimes where I'm watching these influencers with a lot of drama and whatever. But what I find insane is we went from like where like girls would fight and be catty on TV back when I was younger on MTV, you would see it all the time, to
Yes.
like, ew, how girls only on the TV, to then you go on TikTok and there's like a mom hating, a woman hating. Like there's one girl who's very viral on TikTok, which I don't want to say 100% that her son's father was abusive to her, but there was evidence on the internet before that he was an abuser. And for some reason, like I feel like people are making this girl like villainizing her so much that she's becoming exactly who they want her to be instead of her having
Yes.
an opportunity to like change, because when she was doing everything right, everybody's like, "You're a bad mom, you're a this, you're a that, you're whatever." And then the other thing is there's a big toll on like, which I don't even know where I feel. I'm talking like the OnlyFans world, is like big. A lot of the influencers, they are on OnlyFans, and it just kind of creates this like financial, again, like a material thing where it's like it's going to create a lot of envy, it's going to have some bad watchers
Okay, but a lot
involved.
a lot of it is I know a lot about OnlyFans. I'll leave it at that because we're talking about you.
Yeah,
OnlyFans is known as a trafficking site.
yeah,
It is a
yeah,
sexual trafficking site. But
yeah,
here's the thing. I know some very smart recently, they told me about
yeah.
this. Young women,
Hmm.
Ivy League colleges, whatever that might mean these days, okay? Because that's another program for us to talk
Yeah.
about. I'm like, everybody should go to community college, decide after 2 years, maybe you want to become a plumber, maybe you want to become, I don't know, tattoo artist,
Yeah,
like, and
yeah,
that's with all the money and stuff, like that's how we should be doing it. Another program. But she was telling me, and it was so shocking to me, kind of proper for young people. We're talking 21 years old. Um, most of the girls are taking pictures of their feet and putting them on these sites or this site. I
mhm,
didn't get into which one or any of that because I don't look at any of those sites, even though I know about all these sites.
yeah,
And they were making $300 a pop.
yeah,
So why should somebody 21 years old, go work in
yeah.
CVS,
That's
or
where I'm like,
Acme? It's
that's
such a
hard to
mixed
speak
mess. It's
on
such a
it.
mixed
Yeah,
messaging. And I
yeah,
said, "Really?" I said, "Really?" And I just kind of looked at her. She knows the work I do and stuff, and she volunteers with me. And she said, "Well, but nobody's." She didn't say she was doing it. She was telling me about it. And she said, "Yeah, but nobody sees anyone's face." No, I'm
yeah.
like, "But it's about self-worth." But
Right.
then everybody sells out for $1. Like, why do we have so many problems on
That's
the
what I'm
internet? Like,
saying.
it's
It's
always
like,
about money. Like, that's really what it's a crass answer, but everything's about all the problems
yeah,
we have with kids on the internet. It's money. I mean, why are they allowed on Snap, to sell drugs to kids? Like,
yeah,
seriously. But I may be censored because I posted an article I didn't even write from somebody else, but I think it's a good resource because I've had this happen. And they say that that's against community standards. I didn't even
yeah,
write it. It's a vetted resource. They just didn't really, but we have children being abused and drugs are being sold and
yeah,
kids are signing on saying they're 18 when they're 12. There's, age verification. So we need to empower our young women. This is a tough one and young men
yeah.
too, but
Yes,
like
yeah.
really empower them. And my biggest fear is, and I was just posting about it earlier. Are you familiar with these AI chatbots now?
What, like ChatGPT and stuff,
Yes, but
or
they
no?
have actually now there's like a program called Character AI. All the kids are going on, and
I've seen that.
you can pick like your favorite character, Frozen, from a musical or whatever, a Disney movie, and create your own little bot that will talk to you. You'll mold it kind of. It'll like everything you do because it's your bot. So there's never dissension because it likes. However, and see, this is where the media should be talking about this more. And this is all free for people to sign up. The kids, kids are very savvy on the computers, and
Yeah.
we have cases now in some lawsuits where the bots then turn on the child and tell them to do horrible things, harm your
There
parents. And because we have algorithms here, I think you know what I mean.
there's a
Weird
specific
stuff.
group There's a group, oh my gosh, if I find out what it is, I will.
764. I know what it is.
Thank you.
764.
Yes.
I
Yeah,
know
that
all of these
group.
horrible
I
things.
sent it to a lot of friends that I know have
Horrible.
sons on video games and
Horrible. Horrible.
yeah.
I did a PSA on it and I'm like every media company should be running that because
Yeah.
it's not the kids' fault. It's not the parents or guardians' faults. Like it's overwhelming. These things are just thrown at everybody and everybody's trying to pay bills and pay rent and take care of
Yeah.
kids and go about their lives, right? Like so who's going to be watching this stuff? That is the most dangerous. That group 764 started originally in Texas by a teenager kind of thing. And but
Yeah.
tells, doing horrible things to pets and siblings and parents. So there's a real problem that goes into mental health where we started sort of way back. There's a youth mental health crisis. I would dare say there's just a mental health crisis in our country,
Yeah.
not just youth mental health, but those kids are the future adults and leaders. Where are they going to be 10, 20 years? That's what I'm so concerned about. It's very overwhelming for everybody.
I will say these kids coming in, they're so funky because they're like the millennials kids kind of coming in here and stuff. And a lot of my friends' kids, they are so brilliant and they have like certain personality traits that remind me of like me when I was younger. Like they kind of do play outside a little bit every now and again. But I get so worried for them, like, especially from my personal experience, I can't not feel a
Yeah.
vibration on a bad person. So, like, the second, and it's not even a trauma response. Like, I know intuitively God just gave me that now that I could like feel something off about somebody. But like my friend, she has two kids under the age of 6. So, like, when they're playing, like, even if she's talking to me, I know they're fine. I know she's watching them. She's like the most like cautious mom ever. I'm like this while she's talking. Like, I just can't, like, not
Yes.
keep my eyes to make sure they're okay because it takes 2 seconds. All these videos I see on TikTok, like, "Oh, if you don't check the bathroom before, your child goes into the stall, you never" like, no, you could just be letting your kid into a bathroom, think they're going to the bathroom, and there's somebody in there. Like, that was happening in some park in, like, I don't know what town. Um,
Oh, that's been happening. Well, first of all, a warrior's PSA, you must bring your children into the bathroom and be with them. I'm sorry, but
yeah,
I'm just going to
yeah.
leave it at that. You cannot just send, there was a story not long ago. The family was on the beach somewhere, and I think the boy was like 12. So he went to
That's
like
the one I think I
the
read.
little 10 or 12. He wasn't like young, young. And what 10 or 12-year-old boy? I mean, I used to send my son, I know better
Yeah.
now, like
When
we're
I
on the
was younger,
beach.
I did too, but it was different.
And then he
Yeah.
got attacked in the bathroom kind of thing. And there's a lot of stories like that the media doesn't cover. We need to cover as awareness. Let's talk about you. What is your path now? You want to continue on this? Do you ever say like, I want to do this, I want to do that? Like, what are you thinking right now?
Yeah.
Because you're so young.
Yeah,
I have
I mean,
children. I have children older than you, so you're so young.
thank you. Um, I I was a cosmetologist for years, so I'm always kind of into creative interest. To be quite honest, I have stopped overly planning because I never planned to work in the mental health field. I really just thought, I don't know what I thought I was going to do, maybe reality TV or be a barber or something um, for the rest of my life. And I was happy maybe own a barber shop. I would at some point like to make some investments that are just safe, quiet, slow growing investments that, could set me up at some point that I could just, be at a place where I could paddleboard on a schedule throughout the week and not have necessarily like a full work schedule to tend to. But I do love the mental health space. I love advocacy
Yeah.
work. I love helping with anything, like I said, like digital marketing, all that stuff I love. So any opportunity I have to get on some type of creative project, I'm on board. And I think I'll always be giving back in any capacity. I right now just cut hair for the homeless. That's the only time I'll
Oh
do haircuts.
wow.
Yeah, I love it. It's actually so
I
fulfilling
love
because
that. Thank you for doing
yeah,
that. Doesn't that make you feel good?
amazing. Yeah, I mean you're
It's like
itchy
a
when you go home,
feeling.
but it's
That's like a
amazing. Yeah.
feeling that we could make a drug and bottle it. We could be
Yeah.
billionaires. There's nothing better, right?
No, it's like, cause I could go like a month after that of just like the high of like just like, oh my gosh, like I just gave that person something, it's
And
a
you know
lot
what
of
you gave
times.
them also, Kim, even though I'm interrupting?
Yeah,
It's giving them a little dignity. Like,
yeah,
do you know what I'm
exactly.
saying? Like, and they're
Yeah.
feeling good. You know, when your hair feels good, you feel good.
That's
You
what
just
I
do.
think, like, what if somehow, like, 'cause some people, they're not ready to get help, and that's fine, and I also know there's a lot of people that don't have homes that are very happy, maintaining
Mhm.
that lifestyle, and they kinda wanna stay out there, so I'm not necessarily even speaking about, like, if they wanna
Right.
stay there or not, but what if me giving that person that haircut that day, the next day, they get some cool job opportunity because they just look a little bit more, and then all of a sudden their life could just start because of a haircut, so if that's the smallest contribution I can do, it makes them feel good about themselves. It makes me feel good. And I have to say they're so funny. Like, because a lot of times, because I'm a girl, when they come up, they're like, "Do you really know how to cut hair?" And I'm
Is it
like,
men and women or just men? What is it?
I could do men or women, but I mostly get men because I did mostly men's hair for years. So it's quick, like I'm hitting their haircut like 15, 30 minutes, they're in and out. But they usually are like, "Are you sure you could cut hair?" And I'm like, "Well, who else is cutting your hair? Like, let
Yeah,
me cut
they
your
come
hair."
in like they haven't had a haircut in a year, 2 years, who knows when, and they're asking you, "Are you sure
Yeah.
you can cut hair?"
Yeah, and then after they're like, "Oh, this is so good." I'm like, "I told you, I'm not gonna, like, be out here cutting bad haircuts," but they're
No,
great. They're
no,
really
but
cool.
that's amazing because we do a lot of work. We go into the communities and, we don't put pictures on Facebook and all that stuff. I put a little bit here and there, but not much. I consider it private work kind of thing. I
Yeah.
have to tell you, Kim, when I started doing this and different warriors, I barely would ask, would start sending me things like, okay, ski jackets for kids, boots for
Yeah.
kids. Oh, Christmas is coming. Let me send you toys. So
Mhm.
I want to give it where it really matters, like,
Yeah.
and I found places where it really matters. But I thought, Kim, in the beginning, like we just go, there'll be like picnic tables outside of projects or something, spread it all
Yeah.
out. And I thought, okay, it's free. People are going to be like grabbing and fighting and all that. I have to tell you, Kim, these people, my experience has been, and I don't exactly fit, let's be honest, the demo of where I'm going at all.
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, I wear my sneakers and my Warriors t shirt, but they're so nice. They're
Yeah.
so respectful. They're like, it's free. I'm like, yes, I want you to have it. Why? Somebody gave it to me and I can't use, 100
Yeah.
jackets. And, some of the moms will have multiple kids and they'll take like one pair of mittens. And I'll be like,
I
no,
know.
you have 3 kids. You could, well, I want to leave some for other people. And they're the most beautiful group. I'm not kidding when I say this.
No, I
So,
know. It
and
doesn't
I
make sense.
honestly, I've been saying it out loud now, Kim. I'm like, I'd rather go in, and I'm not giving away like locations or where people are and things like that. But I'm actually saying lately, I'd rather be with these people, and they're so thankful and
Oh,
nice
yeah. Any
than the
day of the
people
week.
in Washington that I work with that are betrayal with a capital B. I'll leave that. I'll
I
leave that.
I say that about my field. So I love what I do, but sometimes it can be silly. It's like, let's go to this conference, let's go to this conference, let's go to this coffee meet and greet, let's go.
There's
And
so many of that. And
I'm
what
like,
good
okay,
are
where can
they?
we
What
get
good
that?
are they?
I will not. You want to hear something about me? It's so funny. I was with a friend in New York recently, and we got that. It was some new kitchen, but they got a bunch of sandwiches. A lot of people didn't show up, and I was like, we can't throw these sandwiches out. They're perfectly packaged, individually boxed, like full meal. So I took like 10 of the leftovers and I just went through Manhattan and I just gave out what I could. And then I had to get the rest of the sober living house over here because a lot of them were hiding. It was hot out. So I couldn't find them. But
But they were going to
yeah,
throw it away. They were going to throw it away.
who knows? They were like, take an extra if you want. And I'm like, I ate a lunch. There's people starving. They were
Yeah.
completely fine. They were like, oh my God, yes, love that, but like I just constantly am always like thinking of
Thinking of others.
them. Yeah, like, okay, there's
That's why you're a warrior. You're thinking,
yeah.
and that empowers you. Well, finish us up, Kim. Obviously, promise me you're going to come back. We have a lot to talk
Yes,
about,
whenever. Yep.
different things. I wanted to get the ball rolling with who you are, your incredible work. Also, August 21st will be here before we know it. We'll talk
Yes.
again, I hope, before that. And I'll
Yes,
see you at this event. I'm very excited about
I'm
that.
excited.
I want to get all the warriors, all the public, everybody in the tri-state area at least to come. There's going to be an
Yeah.
event. We did it last year. Were you in Times Square last year? There was something in like August with the DEA, and
Yes.
I
That
was
DEA one, I wasn't at the first one, but I was at the one in March with DEA.
no, I was at something like I had like a summer outfit on. That's what was like last. I don't know when it was. I think it was last.
I
I
know
don't know.
she's worked with Sierra over there a couple times. Yeah, from the
Well, it doesn't matter.
yeah,
I want to get all the
yeah.
public involved, and I'm going to see you at this. Finish this up though. I have to ask you. You've shared a lot. You've shared your personal story. Thank you for doing that. You're very brave.
Thank
But that's
you.
what people need to hear. I have to tell you, Kim. People have to hear. Like, I've never been trafficked. I've never had domestic violence. I've never had this. I just woke
Mm.
up one day and said, "This is unacceptable. What's happening here?" And and so it really resonates when we have somebody that will talk, because I know, our job is, if we help one person a day, one child, one
Yeah.
person, one family, like that's our goal. That's good enough. And I know your story. And in the body of the video, by the way, I'll have all of your, contact information and Healing
Perfect.
Us.
Yeah.
And I'll have everything in there. People can take their time and they can read
Yeah.
about you a little bit more. Um, but what do you want to leave us with for the public to know today?
Um, I think that I think honestly, just because of the way things have been in life lately for me, for everybody to just have a little more grace for their
Yes.
neighbors, to just realize that we're all in a human experience. It's not a perfect experience. And, to be able to be an open ear to somebody without the judgment first,
Yes.
just listen, judge later, or not at all. And I think um healing person for me, I think a big part of me being able to be where I'm at today was me looking at the things in myself that were putting me in unsafe predicaments, or and just things that were less valuable than who I am. So to just sit with yourself, do the healing that you need to do so that you could be your best foot, or sorry, put your best foot forward. That way you could be one of the positive contributors in this world. And if you're not there yet, then at least just have grace for the people around you, because everyone's figuring it out.
I love that, Kim. And I really think, it's 2025. I think we live now in a country, a world where everybody can. I really
Yeah,
believe this must do something, and we must also teach our children. It could be the
yeah,
smallest, it can hold a door for somebody. Just a
yeah,
little kindness. I think people have to be kind. They have to think about paying it forward and
yeah,
listening. People don't really
absolutely.
listen to somebody. Listening is free, kind of thing.
Mhm.
So I think you're an incredible warrior. I want to say
Thank
that the
you.
website Healing Us Centers, HUcenters.com. Again, everything, Kim, I'm going to have in the
Yes.
body of the video, your story, more information. And I want to thank you for turning your
Thank
pain into
you.
purpose. No, seriously, Kim, this is serious stuff. I mean, this is what is
Yeah.
needed for the public to really understand your strength, your honesty, and your drive to help others is what makes you a true warrior. I mean, you're not just changing lives, you're saving lives. Do you think about that? Like,
Ye
I think
Yes.
I know
Yes,
that
but
sounds a little like heavy, like, oh, you're saving, but
you know
I
what?
actually think you're saving lives by sharing your story and saying it's okay. Look at me. I'm like,
Yeah.
working on my trauma. I'm progressing. Like, you can do it too. It's empowering.
So something that I this actually is great advice for anybody that wants to get into our world, like in any capacity. So you want to be like more of a humanist and like help people, like a humanitarian. Um, I had to tell myself, because I lose a lot of people on the side, from overdose and things like that. And I could put every best effort forward, and if they don't want it, they don't want it. So it's always God first. I'm there to assist and make it more supportive, and I hope to be a safe place for people. But my mom told me in the beginning, because I remember I was like having a mental breakdown. My friend was really struggling, and she was like, if you think you're going to save anybody, you're in the wrong industry and you should quit today. And she said, because your mind can't be that you think you're going to be anyone's saving grace. And so
Yeah.
I just always try to keep myself as like, it is my job to assist and to lead to water, but I also have to know when I'm like enabling or if I'm not being manipulated too, because I have to be me personally, I have to be careful of being getting manipulated because I sometimes am too nice.
I just want to share with you that with sex trafficking victims
Yeah.
can be very manipulative too sometimes,
Yeah. Yeah.
and try to get one over on you, you
Mental
know.
health too. Mental health too. Yeah.
And it's because when you're a giver, you know, they zone in on that and take advantage of that. They're very manipulative and they
Mhm.
cash in on that. So as long as you're recognizing, I'm awake in the last few years. I've got it now,
Yeah,
and it's
I think
actually painful for me
you're
though
strong.
sometimes. But I just want to
Yeah.
finish up. I have to ask you though. That's very heavy, like what you just said, because losing people, that's
Yeah.
hard.
Yeah,
What do you?
it's
How do you deal with that? Because
um it's not linear, to be honest. There are some
yeah,
days where I'm I I kind of almost in my mind have to create like healthy zones for where I'm comfortable relating to people, where I'm comfortable, like if this was my career for say like 25 years, like which positions I'd be comfortable staying. So like with the nonprofit side, it was very heavy. It was 24/7. It was 18 months. So it was the aftercare and it was all peer led. So I was their main connector. So um it's hard when they go and especially when you feel like they
yeah,
did all the things you felt like they were supposed to be doing in their recovery and then just something happens. Like I had one friend, he just had bipolar. So he was in one of his manic phases and that was the day he overdosed. He just used that one day and up until then he was calling me every day. He was connecting with people, he was doing his meetings, he was doing acts of service. Like there was no reason, you know. So it is hard. I think that's why I started getting involved with Black Poster Project because helping them heal or creating safe places for the mothers and fathers and loved ones to be able to like be there. I have some friends in that project too, so getting to see them, I feel like they're there. Those posters are alive when you're in that room. So
I love that. That's beautiful. And we'll see you August 21st.
August 21st.
August 21st, but I'll speak to you. Hopefully, I'll speak to you before then because I want to remind
Yes.
everybody what's going on exactly. Well, I want you to keep rising, keep healing, keep doing the work. You're a warrior. You have us in your corner. Whatever we can do
Thank
to
you.
help you, Kim. And let us speak again soon. Thank you for spending this time.
Yes.
I could speak to you for
Thank
24
you.
hours, but
Me
we'll
too.
speak we'll speak more. Well, you know what? There's a lot. Next time we'll
Yeah.
do a segment on one specific thing.
Yeah.
We'll break that out and break it down, but people got to get to know you. And it's been an honor to get to know you. So thank you. And
Thank
I want to say you
you.
truly are a warrior.
Thank you, Lynn. You're a warrior as well. Thank you so much for having me.
You're welcome. Let's talk again soon.
Yes.